after that. Everyone's talking about Eberechi Eze, who I really love as a player, but I don't think he's a left winger. So it's going to be interesting to see what they pull out of the hat. I'd love to see Arsenal do something a bit out of the blue. You know, we've been quite how would I say it? We haven't really expanded our horizons much in the market this summer. Like trying to find that player who is a little bit of a bolt from the blue, you know, somebody you haven't been linked with, maybe somebody from France, somebody from Spain, somebody from Germany, who knows, who's not really a big name, but who might just come in and provide that something different on the left. So let's see.
You mentioned Eze not being a left winger in your eyes, which I feel like a lot of people probably do feel the same way. I want to cast your mind back to a player that you loved, or love, should I say, Samir Nasri, I say sarcastically. and I remember distinctly him doing a lot of good work on the left-hand side for us, and he was never a winger. And I'd place him in the same sort of mold as someone like Eze to do a job to balance out the attack, where potentially you may play with two genuine forwards in your attack, you know, through the middle on the right-hand side kind of thing. And the more I watch Eze, which has been a long time at this point now, the more I see that sort of role being his almost not final form, but in a way, in a top team, he can probably excel a lot more in terms of the way he links up, the way he creates chances. I mean, do you see that sort of interpretation for him, or do you see him more as you'd want more of a direct sort of player on that side?
I mean, listen, I think he can play there. We know he's played there. He's played there for Palace. He's played there for England. I just think if people are clamoring for a left winger, he is not a traditional left winger. Could he do a job for Arsenal there? Absolutely. Could he do a good job? I think so. And listen, I would not be complaining for 1 second if Arsenal went out and bought Eze, and part of the remit for Eze was for him to play on the left-hand side of it. My contention is that at this point in his career, I think he is best through the middle. I think what he does in those areas of the pitch is really, really valuable. And if I'm looking at Arsenal and looking at some of the problems that we've had over the last couple of seasons, let's say with low block teams or moving the ball more quickly through midfield to provide those transition moments, as we saw for Kai Havertz, you know, the weekend against Bilbao, and the kind of goals that we're envisaging Victor Gyökeres scoring for Arsenal, I feel like Eze would be a really good way of addressing that. If Mikel Arteta thinks he's good enough to do a job on the left-hand side and also play centrally, then great, I'm all for it, you know. I just think he's obviously a really, really talented player. And I think at this point at 27, you know, he's probably keen to move to a club like Arsenal, to a big club like Arsenal, because not that it would be his last chance. I mean, if you're Eze this morning and you're reading stories about Tottenham being interested in you, you're probably just sort of crying into your cornflakes going, oh God, no, please. Why did Maddison have to get that injury? They could have just left me alone, you know. So I think it might be a case Tottenham throw some money at that, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. You know, I just think that if there is this need for something a bit different on the left-hand side, we're talking about a right-footed player on the left, like Martinelli, like Trossard. Madueke maybe gives you that something different because he's left-footed and what have you. But is Eze sufficiently different from those two to really change the dynamic of the team? I don't know. I just, again, I really feel like he's best in the centre. So I'm not saying you would waste him on the left, but it's just where I wonder about how Arsenal view him and his ability to fit in or add something to the squad.
Quick follow up on that.
Thank you.
Would you at least stipulate that he's a better footballer than the ones we currently have on the left?
I mean, you wouldn't get too many people disagreeing with that, but I think part of it is because of there's a sort of sense of fatigue maybe with Trossard and Martinelli, you know, who both did okay last season. They weren't terrible, but they weren't brilliant either. And there's a sort of inconsistency to both of those players, I think, that is part of why people want to see an upgrade on that left-hand side. I think Trossard has been a really good signing for Arsenal, by the way. You know, 25 million, 27 million, whatever it was we paid for him, and he's delivered goals, he's delivered assists, and delivered some things that we don't really have in the squad right now. Could Eze do? Is he a better player? I mean, probably just with those few years, being a few years younger and having all of that Premier League experience. It is a tough one. I'd love Eze. I've said this many times. I'd love him, but I'm trying to work it out from an Arsenal perspective. What we want as fans and what the club want, or how the club view things, are very often different, right? So, for example, look at Madueke. Look at the reaction that happened online when Arsenal were linked with him, and fans were going crazy. But Arsenal have decided he's a guy that we want. It was the same with Aaron Ramsdale. When we were trying to sign Aaron Ramsdale, people were going absolutely mad. What are you signing this guy for? Arsenal stuck to their guns, and Aaron Ramsdale did pretty well for us until he got replaced, you know? So what we want as fans, I think Eze is kind of this golden goose character now, you know, that he is seen as the last missing piece of the puzzle, in the same way Gyökeres was before he signed, by the way. I feel like, you know, you could bring in Eze and then people will be going, now we really need to, if we could just do this, you know? I don't think it ends. I don't think it ever ends. Nobody's ever going to be 100% satisfied with their squad. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Hey folks, this is Dean from the Shirtless Plantain Show. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and follow us on all our socials. You can see them right beneath our recordings in every video. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.